Alright, I'm gonna do one more quest, and I think I'm gonna take a nap or something. Here to see Commander Alden, I take it. This way, please. Our request for an audience with the Sultana has been accepted. Before we depart, I'll share what we've learned since last we spoke. The blasphemy continues to elude us, all the while driving others to succumb to despair and to turn. Even with Alamigan and Ul'dan forces searching for signs of the beast and more potential victims, we've yet to discern a pattern in the chaos. Nevertheless, if our blasphemy is like others, its behavior is likely dictated by the passion and regrets of the man it once was. Therefore, any information concerning him and the life he led may help us to track it down before it strikes again. We don't want people to shun the families of the Skulls any more than they already are, but the fact remains that the vast majority of the beasts have been born from them. They are the ones at the greatest risk of turning, without question. Medulla concerns me too. She came close to transforming once before, and I think it might be best if we keep her out of this after all. She deserves a chance to make amends. Also, you wouldn't be able to stop her if you wanted to. I'm inclined to agree with Laverne. She was able to resist the transformation and has shown no signs of succumbing since then. If she wants to do her part, I say we let her. If only I could go in her stead. Nope. Actually, I was hoping you'd come with us to meet the Sultana. I believe she would benefit greatly from your understanding of the struggles our peoples face. You would gain from the experience too. While she's not the sort to brandish her sword and charge into battle, you will soon discover she's a champion of her own arena, as brave as any warrior. That's actually a quite good idea. I doubt she'd have much to learn from the likes of me, but it would be an honor to make her acquaintance. Arnweld and I will go on ahead and wait for you in the Hastings strips. We'll see you anon. Cool. Okay. Boom. Papa Sean! Hello. I only let her out of my sight for a moment. She ran away again. Of course she did. It's the first time I've been back here since I, discharged myself from the infirmary. Without telling anybody, mind. I must remember to stop by and offer my thanks. And an apology. Master Papashan was just telling us that Nanamo, or should I say Lady Lilyria, has gone on another of her jaunts about the city. Though it is not my place to question her Grace's judgment, I do wish she had consulted me before running off on her own. And perhaps I'm overthinking it, but it's unlike her to keep guests waiting. If I may say so, sir, with blasphemies appearing throughout the land, it's a dangerous time to be going for a stroll. I suspect that might be the very reason she wishes to see for herself how the citizenry fare in these trying times. Even so, it's downright reckless. We'll find her, though. Of course we will. No, I couldn't possibly allow such esteemed guests to... Come now, we might be here on official business, but we're old friends, and as you may remember, I have a knack for tracking down errant sultanas. Some might say that knack is a rather charitable... I should be glad of the assistance. I'll take a look around here. Quizzing the locals will give me an opportunity to learn of recent going-on in Oldar too. Well then, there's no time like the present. If you're not with me on the case, this will be over before you know it. What am I going to do? If she's supposed to be meeting us here, maybe we should wait for her to come to us? Could work. Just between you and me, Rabban has never had much luck at finding Lyra, rather the opposite, which isn't to say that he's misrepresenting his capabilities. Perhaps his recollection of events simply differs somewhat from reality. Alright. Sapphire Avenue Exchange. Okay. That is where we are going then. I wonder if you can actually spot her. Like before talking to him. That would be funny. I'm not going to try. That would be way too much. So I'm just going to talk to him now. It's been some time since I last combed these streets for young Lyra. As a matter of fact, Papashan and I would compete to see which of us could find her first. As I recall, most of the contests ended in my favor. The trick, you see, is to look past the disguise and pay attention to the gestures and mannerisms, the tiniest movements that might give her away. Come, I'll show you how it's done. Follow him and don't fall behind. Okay. She's fond of perusing the stalls here. That she is. Trying not to fall behind is really hard when he's walking so slowly. If she's not here, where could she be? What if she's been abducted? If in one of these pots? Never known her to be this elusive. That's odd. I've heard all her usual haunts, so unless she's hiding inside a barrel or something equally nonsensical, she must be elsewhere. God, why did she choose now of all times to run off? What if she's been abducted or run afoul of a beast? Perhaps we could try asking her around? I was about to suggest the same. We'll find her a lot quicker if we start by narrowing down who we're going to ask. Come to think of it, something Papashan said caught my ear. He thought Nanamo went on this excursion because of the emergence of the blasphemy and the beasts. To better understand how our people are coping with the situation. If so, she'd be driven to seek out the most desperate and destitute. Pearl Lane, then. When I ask you to lead the way, I'll admit my ability to track missing persons may have dulled somewhat. Sure. Pearl Lane has never been plagued by pickpockets and the like. I'll watch your back, so go ahead and give the search for Lyria your full attention. While it may not be immediately obvious, conditions here have improved considerably of late. Her Grace continues to support the rebuilding efforts in Girabania, which has led to the creation of jobs for many of the locals, both here and on the other side of Balsa's Wall. Cool. I like. In every society, there are the haves and have-nots, and seldom is this divide more sorely felt than here in Ordar. Many of the young and able-bodied work for Lolorito as guards, though he earns more in an afternoon than most will in a lifetime. Wonderful. There she is. Lady Lyra. Roban, whatever are you doing here? And Laverne too. Well, I'm glad to see you both. Our meeting is not yet due to commerce for several belts. What is the meaning of this? We're worried, and with good reason. These are far too dangerous times to be roaming about, Your Grace. Some things never change, but I assure you, I'm quite capable of looking after myself in my own city, of all places. More importantly, I wish to observe firsthand how the people have been faring of late, that I might be better prepared to participate in our discussion later. But I have finished, you will be comforted to hear. And pray allow us to escort you to more amenable surroundings. Would you care to ride on my shoulder? Certainly not. You have already attracted more than enough attention. She likes to be incognito. Alright, back up to the hustling strips, and I'm not walking. Can't make me. Again, she's not here. I had every faith you and the commander would find her. I have a feeling the search would have taken rather longer if Rauban had been left to his own devices. There she is. I thank you all for making the journey here during these difficult times. And it is my pleasure to properly make your acquaintance. On behalf of the people of Eorzea, allow me to express my sincerest gratitude for your continued dedication to our cause. With respect, Your Grace, I'm just a soldier. Was a soldier. Still, I say, Commander Aldwin would not make such a distinction, and neither will I. Yet you serve your people and have provided solace to many of Alamigo's most vulnerable. If we are to deal with this threat, we must forearm ourselves with knowledge. I understand you come bearing information regarding the blasphemy and its victims? We have indeed. and the need to locate families of Crania Lupi members who have fled to Thanalan. There's no end to the struggles faced by Alamegan refugees, and those who once pledged allegiance to the Empire are no exception. But rest assured that irrespective of their past, all will be treated with an even hand, all will be afforded such aid as I am able to provide. Magnanimous as always, Your Grace. If I might be so bold, I have a question. What do you have in mind for those most at risk of undergoing the change? I believe there is but one recourse. Earnest and open dialogue. While some are born into unimaginable wealth, others suffer great hardship and oppression. The circumstances of our birth are beyond our control. Our fate subject to the whims of the gods, some would argue. I once thought myself a prisoner to my fate, a figurehead helpless to watch on as my people starved, a powerless puppet, wanted nothing more than to cast us all aside, to free us all, but failed for my naivete, and then was afforded a second chance for my privilege. The world was unfair, terribly so, but we have the power to push back against inequalities and injustices. If we overcome them on blessed occasions, to love our neighbor and share in life's bounties, to open our hearts and come together as one. Truer words were never spoken. But without the support of the people, such words are not but vain platitudes. Thankfully, my recent attempts to make inroads with the monetarists have met with some success. Despite differing views on many subjects, we yet strive to find common ground. Common ground. We've been pouring all of our efforts into aiding families of the Crania Lupi. While it seemed to help to a degree, some have still succumbed and turned. Of course, they're not the only ones in danger. Lamegans everywhere, whether they sided with the Empire, fought for their resistance, or were caught in the middle, they all suffered. They all wake up in the night, at times haunted by memories of death and despair. We know what can happen if those feelings are left to fester. The legacy of the Imperial occupation will not soon be forgotten, but rather than seek to forget, mayhap it is necessary to remember, to acknowledge and accept the truth of it, that they may properly mourn those they have lost. Aye, remembrance. I propose we hold a memorial ceremony for those who died during the war. Everyone, no matter who they were or what they did, let them be loved, let them be hated, but above all, let them be remembered. And in the remembering of the dead, and their honor and their sin, we the living of Alamigo may yet find a sliver of common ground. It's a noble sentiment, but bringing together people who have reason to distrust one another and to risk inflaming tensions could be a recipe for disaster. Then again, we can't keep ignoring the merits in the room and to do nothing to address the situation. As long as we leave it to the individuals to decide whether or not to attend the ceremony, I think it is worth a try. Organizing an event of this scale will require a great deal of effort, so I offer my full support. Once you know what's needed, come to me, and we'll put the plan into action. Obviously, some will balk at the idea, which is perfectly understandable, so I'll be listening to their opinions as well. After all, we want it to be a ceremony that brings Alamegans together. Good plan, man. Good plan indeed. And I was wondering, Your Grace, if I might ask about your approach to, well, talking to people, reading them over. As you can tell, I'm the politician, so I'd be grateful for any advice you can share with me. Why, I would be delighted to. As a matter of fact, I have a number of matters I wish to discuss with you. And on that note, I suggest you and I return to Alamigo. Sounds like a plan. Huh, wonder what Alba and Ollie would say if I could tell them I had a chat with the Sultana. I can hardly believe it myself. To see the Sultana grow to become such a capable and compassionate leader, it brings a tear to my eye. The relationship between Ul'dah and Alamigo is one which I cherish deeply. It is imperative that we coordinate our efforts in facing the crisis. Okay. Nothing of note has occurred in our absence, which I expect is welcome news in itself. Good. I knew Ironwald would make a good impression, but he's outdone himself. Not only has he found a new avenue in life to explore, he's taken to it with considerable aplomb. And while his proposed memorial ceremony is bound to have its detractors, I have faith that many will come around. Not all, but enough, I pray. For our part, we must stand at the ready for whatever may occur. I shall send word if there are any developments. Okay, cool. And laying the past to rest. Your Laroon, Commander Alden has asked me to convey to you the following information. At present, we are looking into reports of missing relatives of the Crania lupi. With the cooperation of the Silver Griffins, we are currently searching for any clues as to their whereabouts. And thanks to the concerted efforts of Ragenfritz and the others, the general public has been willing to cooperate with our investigation. Though many still harbor feelings of distrust for the collaborators and their kin, they've grown more receptive to our cause on the whole. Ironwald's been making steady progress in preparing for the memorial ceremony. He plans to host a meeting between the various community leaders to go over the finer details. In fact, he was wondering whether you could assist in delivering the invitations. If you can spare the time, you should be able to find him in the Mercantile District. Anyway, that's all for now. I have a few other matters to attend to, so if you'll excuse me, duty calls. Of course. Ah, right at the right. Okay. I was like, where's the Mercantile District here? Thanks for coming. It should come as no surprise that planning a memorial ceremony for a whole bloody nation to keep a man busy, but by Roger, this is something else. The hardest part's been gathering information on those who died in the war, especially when it comes to the skulls and the conscripts. And they are the ones we need to treat most carefully. If we don't acknowledge the crimes of our kin and all their painful truth, then we do a disservice to their victims, the living and dead. But if you let people paint them as monsters who did monstrous things we believe we would never do, then we perpetuate a different but no less dangerous lie. As for preparing the event itself, I'll be holding a meeting with members from each of the settlements around Gerbania. I've sent invitations to most of them already, but was hoping you'd help me with the last two. There's Maras Noon in the Peering Stones, and Sarisha and Vira Nilia I'll give you one for each. That makes sense that we would do that. Since they are important leaders. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they refused, considering how their people suffered at the hands of the Skalds. But I hope we can remind them that deep down we are all just people trying to survive, to protect our loved ones. We may have driven the Empire from our lands, but as long as we hold fast the grudges born of their attempts to divide and set us against one another, we'll never be free of their legacy of cruelty. With that in mind, I've included an account of my experiences with the Silver Griffins and the people I've met, victims, collaborators, their friends and their family, men and women who lived through it all. Survivors. Even if they refuse to join the ceremony, at least they will know, to hopefully understand our reasons for holding the event. Granted, I have not much practice in writing important letters, but I think they'll get the message. You being the one to deliver them will make a world of difference, I'm sure. Take care, won't you? Noon. Greetings, friend. It has been too long since last we spoke. Which brings you to my village. Is this... So the rumors are true. I need not read this letter in full to know its contents. I understand that Ragnfrid's volunteers are working to support the families of those lost in the war, which few will deny is a worthy cause. But to include the relatives of the Krenae Lupi? The Skull watched the Empire's slayers an hour of thousands, and still they turned their cloaks and fought for our oppressors. And you would ask us to mourn the deaths of those curs alongside their victims? He has every right to be angry and to refuse. I'm gonna go with that. Arnold wishes only that you read his account before coming to a decision. This is clearly the better answer here, in my opinion. To dismiss it out of hand would be discourteous. Very well. Family. As Dune much ripe is my family, and I know all too well the responsibility that brings, or to do anything to protect them. Anything. Loyalty, pride, conscience, my very soul, all are meaningless if I cannot ensure the safety of those I love. I expected some Skalds had been faced with the self-same choice, but to see how their kin suffered, I cannot say I do not understand, though I wish that I did not. Their crimes will never be forgiven. They cannot be. But I, and any others who are willing, can offer all prayers for those tortured souls and the men they could have been. I accept the invitation, not on behalf of the M tribe, but as Maraz Noon, though I will put the question to my people that they may decide for themselves. I'm also eager to make the acquaintance of the person who wrote this letter. He does not want to turn a blind eye to the bitter truth, painful though it is to confront. The meeting will be the perfect opportunity to take his measure. Yeah, sounds good. I will convey your friend's intent to the rest of the tribe before attending the memorial ceremony. Those who cannot support it will not interfere. You have my words. For other reasons, travel the towns and villages we once thought safe are fraught with danger. Please, keep your senses keen wherever you go. Oh, I will. Yeah. Welcome to what do we owe the pleasure of your visit. The weight of the words within is almost tangible, in addition to the weight of the paper itself. It is as suspected. There have been rumors that such a ceremony were to take place. Although you have traveled far to make this invitation, I must decline. We cannot mourn the loss of the fallen of the Crani Lupi are to be counted among them, if the Crani Lupi are to be counted among them. Like the Qualiana, they choose to aid the Guardian oppressors, killing and bleeding for those who would pillage our lands. Cowards and traitors all. And are we to assume that Qualiana, who died fighting for the Empire, will be honored as well? If so, that is all the more reason for us to refuse. That is your right, and no one will say otherwise. I come only to present a letter and ask that you read it in full. Arenvald understands and accepts that you might refuse. His only request is that you read his account and then decide. No, this time I'm going to go with this one. Because she doesn't know Arenvald. So, if I might make the request that she reads everything. If you insist. No one was spared suffering in the occupation, not the resistance, not the collaborators, not the families of both. No. That so many would die in shame and ignominy, having sold their souls and to lose everything. A tragedy and a lesson. If they are forgotten, then the lesson of their folly is forgotten. For the sake of the land we call home, I will join you in remembrance and implore my people to do the same. In mourning, may we strengthen our ties with our neighbors as well, but together facing our past, we can build a foundation for lasting peace and prosperity. It will be my honor to attend the proposed meeting, and I look forward to personally thanking your friend Arenvald for his dedication. I and my peers have much to learn from the example he has set. And I guess we are to return. We are. So how did you fare in the fringes? Quite well, actually. They said this. Well, once again, I'm sorry. They said that about me? It's rare for me to get such glowing praise, especially from renowned leaders like Tsarisha and Maraz Noon. More importantly, though, they agreed to attend the meeting, and I've got you to thank for that. After all, I imagine it's hard to turn down an invitation when it's hand-delivered by the Warrior of Light himself. Before I get ahead of myself, though, I must remember that this is only the beginning. Bringing everyone together is one thing. Coming to an agreement on an extremely divisive issue is a different kettle of fish entirely, as her Grace was quick to point out. But as she's taught me, if your cause is just and your hearts are true, those of like mind will surely answer the call. An answer they have. While there are bound to be differences of opinion, I'm sure there's nothing we can't overcome if we put our minds to it. To that end, I was hoping you could join us, if you have the time to spare. There are still a few loose ends Dragonfrit and I need to tie up beforehand, so we'll meet you in the palace as soon as we can. Just having you there will make a world of difference. Sure. Actually, let's talk again with him. I forgot that with Sarisha, but I guess that's too late now. Once we've got everything in order, Ragnfrid and I will meet you in the palace. Okay. That's not too interesting. Actually, can I go back and check on her? I'm curious if she has something to say. Okay. We're still technically in the same quest, so she should still have her unique quest text, hopefully. The village has been abuzz with talk of Alpa's exploits. We'll have to ensure the successes do not go to her head. No, okay, we've already passed the instance. That is sad, but oh well, nothing we can do about that. Wrong key. This one, please. I should actually keep on mounting up. Oh, no. Royal Palace Guard. Here for the meeting, yes. Yep. So while we all agree upon the importance of the ceremony, we recognize that the inclusion of the Chronae Lupae will be distressing for many. I too lost family at their hands, and I would never ask others to forgive and forget. But for all their crimes, they were Alamegans, just like us. None made the decision to side with the Garleans, Garlemald. With Garlemald lightly. With the Garleans is also perfectly fine. They had a choice, and they choose to betray us. That is correct. Who among us have not made difficult choices for kith and kin? And do not forget that for Dola choose to stand between us and a primal. What does that have to do with it? Brothers and sisters, arguing will avail us not. The fate of Alamega rests on my shoulders and yours, on those of every man, woman, and child that calls these lands home. To uphold our honor, to strive for prosperity, to protect our loved ones, we all know the weight of these responsibilities. It was that selfsame weight which drove many of our people to serve our oppressors, misguided as it was. And though they chose a different, unconscionable path, in the end, we all wanted the same thing, to deliver our families from persecution, that they might live to see one more day. Because another day in shame and self-hatred was still better than none at all. The regretful dead are survived by their despair, and despair which threatens to drag us all into an abyss from where there is no escape. Know that it surely will if we welcome it into our hearts out of disdain for those we cannot forgive. But we Alamegans will not be so easily defeated. We will stand united and conquer this menace. Yeah, this entire story was very light in terms of connection to the blasphemy, actually. Still important, don't get me wrong. It's really, really important to get to this point. But there was little talk of the blasphemy. We still don't know who that person was who turned into a blasphemy. Anyway, moving on. Every Alamegan who fought and died did so in the hopes that one day we would be free. And we are free. We are free. With the blood of our fallen brothers and sisters, we are free. Free to lock away the pain and pretend it has no power over us. Until it festers and takes us in our beds, and free to lay it bare and let it breathe. To acknowledge and to mourn our people at their best and their worst. The past is ours to bear, all of it, for ourselves and for future generations, so that they needn't suffer like we did. Let us make Alamigo a nation where no man is left behind, where he can make all the wrong choices and still be afforded the chance to make a right one.